this isn't the case for a probing question. A probing question is basically a secondary question or a follow-up question that wouldn't make sense out of the context that it was put in. Like, if I were just to say, tell me more about that, to start off an interview, it wouldn't make any sense. Everyone would be lost. But the probing questions may be open or closed. It can be a long question or a simple tell me more or go on, something like that. It allows the interviewer to go deeper into what they think about the respondent's answer without really asking a new broad question. It allows them to more or less kind of enhance their answer as they go. This is really necessary when someone is giving a broad or very vague, ambiguous answer, and you want them to give more specific details about a specific instance. The first type of probe we're going to talk about is a silent probe, which is, it's the easiest because you don't even have to say anything as an interviewer. As the interviewer, all you have to do is ask the question and wait for the respondent to answer. And if their response doesn't satisfy your needs for the question, you might sit there or lean forward in your chair, make eye contact, act interested, and maybe, even give a smile will help. And if they give you a very vague answer and you just sit there for a moment, quiet, and look like you're anticipating them to say something else, that could lead them to give more detail than they originally would have. And body language is really important in this. A nudging probe is the next step, and it's still fairly simple, such as a 1 or 2 word question or a statement that all they're wanting to know is they want to know more about this specific idea, such as a go on. Just say go on, or oh, I see, will hopefully nudge them into giving more details about the specific question. The next is a clearinghouse probe. A clearinghouse probe is much as it sounds. It's basically going to clear the floor of all the rest of the information that they have on this topic. And basically it's very simple. The clearinghouse probe could be something such as, is that all you know about this instance? Or, as I put here, what else can you tell me about that? Can you tell me more? These are all very clearing questions that will clear the floor for your next opening question for a new topic. An informational probe is good for if someone gives me a real superficial answer, like a very surface level answer that I could get from a lot of different people, and I want to know more about this specific incident, which is a tell me more, what else do you know kind of question. A restatement probe is the next, and a restatement probe is basically taking the answer from the respondent that they just gave you and restating it to kind of put emphasis on their response and maybe possibly tell them what you missed. Because if you restate it and you miss something big, then they'll notice and they'll kind of recant their answer and go over it again so you can understand better. These are multiple part questions that you must ask a question about it, and then they'll answer, and then you have to ask again. A reflective probe is a lot alike, and it basically reflects the answer just received, and all you're doing is wanting to verify the information that you just got so nothing is lost in the shuffle. Like if someone was telling you a story and they said, it was 12 o'clock, and reflecting on that would be, that it was 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. Or, they tell you that they were born in the last century. You would say that by that you mean the 20th century, just stuff like that. And the last type of probing question is a mirror probe, and all this is doing is taking all the answers that they've given you and kind of summarizing them all up and mirroring what you've gotten from them to kind of ensure that you've accurately understood and retained everything that they've said without losing anything. Neutral and leading questions. These are interesting. Neutral questions are basically all the questions that we've asked so far today, which is a question that you can get any type of response for without any type of interviewer bias from it, which is like, do you like to ride roller coasters? Is a very neutral question, as opposed to a leading question, which would be like, I assume that you like to ride roller coasters. Like it's obviously telling them what is the accepted answer, and then you're waiting for the response, which leading questions are more open to bias, and a person is more likely to give you the answer you want as opposed to the answer that they actually believe just because of the bias. Loaded questions aren't much different from leading questions, but they're a little stronger suited. There's an obvious bias by the interviewer to the person that they're giving the interview to, and an example of this would be, what did you think of the ridiculous and insulting diversity workshop? And this is obviously a loaded question because it's called. They could have obviously just said, "What did you think of the diversity workshop?" By adding the insulting and ridiculous into that, they are